Today we're going to start with some fresh herb identification. You can buy the dried counterparts. It's just very important to note that if you're using dried by weight, you will always want to use about a fourth of what the recipe calls for if it's fresh. So what we're going to start with is this is fresh oregano. It's got a smaller type of leaf. It is kind of a smoky, lemony kind of flavor, not necessarily bitter, but it can get bitter with long cooking. Next we have fresh basil, very popular fresh herb. It is best used as a finishing component to a salad or a soup or a pasta sauce. Very fresh and sweet. Then we have fresh rosemary. Smells like a pine tree. Okay? The leaves are very hard to chew, so if you're going to use the fresh counterpart, you either fish it out after you finish cooking with it, or you chop it very, very finely. Next we have cilantro. Now cilantro has a very strong, pungent taste. The leaf, as you will notice, has a rounded edge to it, okay, with little spikes on it. Always smell it to make sure you're not using Italian flat-leaf parsley. This has a much stronger aroma component to it. And if you accidentally use cilantro instead of parsley, it's going to change the total flavor profile of your dish. This is another type of parsley. This is referred to as curly leaf. Okay? Flat leaf or Italian parsley and curly leaf all have the same flavor profile and can be used interchangeably. This is fresh thyme. It has kind of a lemony taste, herbaceous taste to it. The easiest way to get these off the stem is to just pull counter to where the leaves are, and then you can use them whole or chop them up. And finally, we have dill. Dill is used in a lot of dishes, especially Mediterranean, and it has a nice herbaceous flavor to it, not to be confused with fennel. Fennel fronds and dill fronds look very similar to each other. The main difference is their aroma. If you smell fennel, it's going to smell like black licorice, whereas dill has its own very distinct lemony kind of bright taste to it. Okay, and the fennel, of course, comes from the fennel bulb. Okay, all of this is edible. However, in cooking, most often you're going to use the bulb part of the fennel in salads, soups, stocks, as a vegetable. And then as long as we're in this arena, I wanted to bring up a couple of other common ingredients. This is the shallot, not to be confused with garlic that is in a white skin or a purple skin, okay? A shallot has kind of a stronger oniony taste to it. It's kind of a cross between a garlic and an onion. And then it's also mostly used in sauces. It's cut very fine. And then this is a leek. It comes from the onion family. It's got a beautiful, sweet, mellow taste to it. Notice the dark part of the leek is rather inedible. It's very tough and fibrous. So when cooking with it, you usually reserve just the white and light green parts and make sure to wash it well. It tends to be sandy and gritty. Then we move over to our lettuces, okay? There's so many kinds of lettuces that are available now. These are some of the most common ones you'll find in kitchens. The first one we have is a Bibb lettuce or butter. It's very soft. It's got a very mellow, buttery kind of taste to it. It's got a fair amount of water content to it, and it does wilt quickly. Then you move into the arugula family. This has much more of a stronger peppery bite to it. It's very popular these days in a lot of cookery, especially like omelets and salads. It has a very distinct kind of spicy taste to it. Then you have escarole. Escarole has a slightly bitter taste to it. It is not one of your more delicate kind of leaves. It is a little bit chewier and robust. Then we have kale. Everybody's heard of kale. It's everywhere in cooking these days. It has a very tough membrane or spine to it that you need to cut off before you use it. And it tends to, unless you cut it fine, you might want to blanch it before putting it into a salad. Or a long cook is also very good too. Then we move into, this is what's known as bok choy, or Chinese celery. It has ribs, just like celery, okay? Also need washing to get all that dirt and grit out. The leaves and the stem are both very edible. You can cook them or eat them raw in salads. And it also comes in its mini counterpoint, super cute. Okay, these leaves are a little bit more tender, but you can use them exactly the same way. Then one of the more common lettuces is romaine. Okay, it's got a nice crunch to it. It's got a good amount of water content to it. It holds up well, and it's easily fabricated by just cutting off the root end and then slicing it or cutting it into the size leaves that you want. It's commonly used in Caesar salads as the lettuce. Okay. Then we have leaf lettuce. This is one of the more delicate types of lettuces. It's got a fair amount of water content to it. It's used a lot as a sandwich type of lettuce because it can break off into pieces that fit well on a piece of bread, and it stands up pretty well over time. Then we get into some of the more specialized greens. This is called radicchio, okay? It has a rather bitter taste to it. It's got a beautiful color. It adds a lot into a mixed green salad, and as far as presentation, it has a distinct taste to it that's kind of earthy, and it has a good crunch, especially down around the root end. It's also a beautiful garnish and is used oftentimes for holding mixed composed salads like egg salad, tuna salad, chicken salad. Then we have Belgian endive. This is one of the more expensive lettuces around. It is commonly used as an appetizer. You can fill the boats with, once again, some sort of composed salad. You can chop it and put it into salads. It's more on the expensive side, so a little bit goes a long way. Then what we have here is a spring mix. You'll see this a lot in menus these days. It's more baby lettuces that add a nice softness to the salad, but freshness. We have things like baby chard, baby red oak, little arugulas, red leaf, all kinds of various. Every spring mix is just a little bit different, but you have a nice array of colors there. Then we have baby spinach. Unlike full-grown spinach, which has to have the ribs removed, baby spinach has become super popular because you don't have to take that step in fabrication. You can cook it just as it is. You can use it raw. You can saute it. You can fry it. You can do a multitude of things with the spinach. And then lastly, we have watercress, which is only in season in the late winter and early summer. It's got a beautiful bitter taste to it. It's very distinct. It's pretty old school in as far as its usage, but I think it's gaining back in popularity. And there you have some fresh herbs, lettuces, and greens.